Namaste, friends. Get ready. How to guarantee that you'll mess this up. A lesson on self-sabotage. Alrighty. Today, I want to talk to you about something every human being does at some point. Self-sabotage. And before we get too serious about it, I want to start with a question. If you were absolutely determined to mess up your own life, how would you do it? If your mission was, I am definitely going to sabotage this thing, what would you do? Because the funny thing about self-sabotage is that most of the time, we're already running the playbook and we don't even realize it. It may have started with you from the very beginning when you even heard Best Self Challenge announced. Now, underneath self-sabotage is something very simple. The fear that most of us carry, the fear of failure. Somewhere deep down we think, what if I try and it doesn't work? What if I look foolish? What if I feel bad about myself because I didn't do the work? What if people judge me? What if I find out I'm not as capable as I thought? So instead of risking failure, we quietly sabotage ourselves. Shh, maybe nobody will notice ahead of time. And it's like saying, if I never really try, then I'll never really fail. But what we actually create is something much worse. We create a day-to-day life that never really ever gets off the ground. And there's another piece that often sits underneath sabotage. Many of our patterns come from our family of origin wounds. Very early in life, we learn something about approval, belonging, validation, and worth. Maybe love came with conditions. Maybe we had to perform, achieve, please others, stay quiet, be the responsible one, be palatable to others. Those early experiences leave a subtle belief in the background that says, maybe I'm not actually worthy. And if we don't feel worthy, we will often sabotage the very things we say we want. We believe we're not enough. So today, I want to walk through a few very reliable strategies for self-sabotage. And if you recognize yourself in any of these, good. That's the point. Because awareness and awakening is where freedom begins. First, here we go, friends. 5 guaranteed ways to ruin your day. If you really want to ruin your day, I've got a great checklist for you. We like checklists, don't we? Number 1, the moment you wake up, grab your phone and immediately start comparing your life to other people on the internet. Bonus points if it's before coffee. Number 2, decide that today is the day everything must go perfectly. No mistakes, no awkward moments, no learning curves, because nothing ruins a day faster than perfectionism. Number 3, take something small and overthink it for about 3 hours, then imagine 17 different ways it could go wrong. Now you got it. Number 4, tell yourself a story about who you are that keeps you stuck. Something like, I'm just not that kind of a person. I'm not disciplined. I'm not organized, or I'm not good at that. And number 5, my personal favorite, wait until you feel completely confident before you start anything. Because if you're waiting to feel confident and ready, you might never begin. Now, friends, obviously I'm joking, but also not really. Because these are the exact patterns that create self-sabotage. Alrighty, here we go. Strategy 1. If you really want to sabotage yourself, you compare yourself to other people and you do it constantly. You look at what they're doing, you look at how far ahead of you they are, you look at how polished they are, you look at how easy it seems for them. Then you say something like, well, obviously I'm behind. I'll never be that good. Or why even bother? Comparison, friends, it is one of the fastest ways to destroy momentum. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to the other person. Because the moment you compare yourself to someone else's path, you forget something very important. This is your journey, your timeline, your lessons. No 2 journeys are meant to look the same. Trying to walk someone else's path while walking your own is like driving a car with the parking brake on and wondering why the car keeps skipping and you're not moving that well. My friends, no comparison. Here's something that really helps, And it's far better to do 100% of your 20% than trying to do 100% while comparing yourself to somebody else. Progress happens when you stay in your lane. Stay in your lane, friends. Strategy 2, wait until you're completely ready. This one's extremely effective. Tell yourself, once I feel confident, then I'll begin. Once I know exactly what I'm doing, then I'll start. Once everything is perfectly aligned, then I'll take action. Once I have time, once I. The problem with this strategy is that confidence is created by action. It doesn't show up beforehand. Waiting to feel ready before you start is like standing at the edge of the pool saying, once I learn how to swim, then I'll get into the water. That's not how swimming works. And it's not how life works either. Clarity shows up after the movement begins. The moment you get in that water, you realize something better start happening. Strategy 3, the worthiness wound. Here's the deeper one. Sometimes sabotage shows up because somewhere inside me, I don't fully believe I'm worthy of the life that I say that I want. I sometimes even wonder if I'm worthy. And that belief didn't just start with me. It often comes from the family of origin conditioning. The ways we learn to measure our value. The ways approval was given or withheld. The ways we learn to perform, achieve, please, or stay small. When something good begins to happen in our lives, a part of us may quietly say, this probably won't last. Or, I'll probably mess this thing up. Screw everything up. People might find out I'm not really capable. And suddenly we start pulling the emergency brake on our own lives. The truth is, sabotage often isn't laziness. It's a wound around worth. When we begin to see that clearly, something powerful happens. Compassion enters the space, and compassion allows healing. Whew! Take an exhale on that one, friends. Strategy 4, overthink everything. If you really want to sabotage yourself, this is a classic. Think about the decision. Think about it again. Then research it. Then ask 5 people what they think. Then imagine every possible thing that could go wrong. At that point, doing nothing will feel like the best option. Of course, seems like the safest option. The problem with overthinking is that it creates the illusion of progress. But thinking is not action. At some point, you have to step into the arena with a regulated nervous system in a surrendered way. Let's take a new way to look at failure. Let's come back to the real root of all this, fear of failure. But failure isn't what we think it is. Failure is simply information. It's feedback. It's data that tells us what works and what doesn't. Every person you admire has failed more times than they can imagine. They just didn't make failure mean something about who they are. They made it mean, okay, adjust, reset my course, and go again. So the next time you catch yourself comparing, hesitating, overthinking, or telling yourself those old identity stories, pause and smile. Take a moment and say, there it is. My sabotage strategy. I gotcha. Awareness breaks the spell. And once you see it clearly, you can choose something different. You can choose movement. You can choose courage. You can choose to step forward. And that is how you begin to remember your true self. And here we go, friends. Here's the real punchline. Not that I'm the greatest at punchlines, but I'm going to give it a go. People often aren't really afraid of failure. They're actually more afraid of succeeding. Because then what happens is you have to become the person that can sustain it. And that's where real growth begins. Thank you all, my friends. Thank you for this time. I appreciate you so much, like from the bottom of my heart. Stay the course. Remember, better to give 100% of 20%. Namaste.